Here is the human female ovary and uterus. You can see there's one on the left and there's one on the right. They look slightly different if you're really paying attention, but when you first look at this model, you might be a little confused. So let's start breaking it down into the different parts. And if you look, these structures right here on both sides, those are the ovaries. And they're going to be producing an egg that's going to be ovulated. And on both of these structures, they're the same. You have the ovary, then you have these little finger-like projections. Those finger-like projections are called the fimbriae. And then you have 3 different areas of your uterine tube. The first one is called the infundibulum. And you can see the infundibulum is where it starts to narrow. Then, where you have that curve is called the ampulla. And then when it narrows, when it goes into the uterus, that last little narrow portion is called the isthmus. And then now you're into the uterus. You have the fundus, that little bulge right there up top, that's called the fundus of the uterus. But what's important about the uterus, and the main part of the uterus, is going to be the 3 main layers. And if you look at this one, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors. If you look at this one, 1, 2, 3. So even though one looks like it has a different layer, it still only has 3 layers. The difference here is that this dark layer and this lighter layer are both part of the endometrium. And the endometrium is what gets sloughed off. And if you go back and think about the lecture class, it's those spiral arteries that start pushing blood in and then constricting blood, where eventually all that layer gets sloughed off. So this is in that area where, is there going to be a fertilized egg to be implanted into it? And if not, it will undergo the end of the menstrual cycle. So those 2 colors are still the same layer of the endometrium. Then this one that kind of looks like there's little cracks in it, that's the myometrium. That's the muscular layer of the uterus. And then that thin outermost layer that surrounds the uterus is called your perimetrium. So endometrium, myometrium, perimetrium. On that side, it's much easier to see, and I'll tell you that in a second. So here there's sperm going through here. There used to be an egg right there that it will try to fertilize, but what you're looking at here, the end of the uterus is called the cervix that leads into the vagina. Now, if you're looking at this side over here, you see that that egg was finally fertilized and it was implanted into the endometrium. Once that gets implanted, or right before it gets implanted actually, chemicals are released to allow it to be embedded into it, but also it'll start forming the mucus plug, which doesn't allow bacteria, viruses, and other substances to get into this environment where the growing embryo is going to be growing. So the only difference here, besides the clear 3 layers of the endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium, is the implanted egg and the mucus plug between the cervix and the vagina.